All right, welcome back to Statement Games Live. This is episode 11. I'm Nathan. I'm joined with Mark. How's it going, Mark?
It's going all right, man. How are you? How's your week going?
It's going pretty well. How's it down there in Long Island?
You know what? I always get like a little like depressed or something like that this time of year. I'm a big fan of like Christmas, the holidays, and things like that. But once the holidays are over and all the lights come down, Christmas tree comes down, your Hanukkah stuff kind of comes down once kind of for all for good, and now you're kind of staring at 2 months of just coldness,
Mhm.
potentially some snow.
Yeah.
Still a lot of stuff kind of going on here. So your ability to travel and maybe sneak off to a warmer weather state, still a little bit of a challenge. So
Yep.
if I look at this as it's a race. I mean, you got to get through the next couple of weeks here, and basically it's a race towards like that last week of February and March, which is when hopefully you'll have an NCAA tournament. Maybe you'll start to see some spring training in baseball take place here. But the way that this whole freaking crazy wackadoo, whether you want to call it, weather, global warming. I'm not sure what the hell you want to call it here. It just seems like nothing really breaks weather-wise in the Northeast until, I don't know, what, the last week of April, first week of May anyway. So even when you
Yeah.
think you've gotten to the end of the tunnel, so to speak, here, you get nailed with something crazy like a snowstorm in the
Yep.
3rd of April or something like that. Well, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely. It does happen. It's like right when you think you're almost made it through it, New England weather just kind of comes through and says, "Hey, how about another foot of snow?" But
Exactly.
yeah, so why don't you let our audience know why they should be listening to us?
I mean, look, we got a lot of things going on here, and let me just kind of give my little 2 minute spiel on why people should actually be listening and checking this out here. Of course, we're kind of new. Now, I've been playing around with this, so let me know what you actually think. If you think we're kind of all right, we'll keep it. We'll run with things similar to like this here. But I took a crack at trying something new here. So basically, we feel that we're the most innovative alternative fantasy sports product in the industry, which is StatementGames.com. I mean, we've had a couple of different features and call outs on ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. And on this show, we're going to talk a ton about sports because we are a sports show, right? But
Mhm.
in addition to sports, the audience is going to get a firsthand kind of like a look at what it actually means to be an entrepreneur in the sports gaming space. You and I have a ton of experience. We've gone through a lot of different trials and tribulations. Some of them are good, some of them are funny, some of them make you want to cry, and we'll get
Yep.
more into that here. But you're going to learn firsthand about who we are, kind of like what we're up to. We got a couple of different tips and tricks that hopefully could potentially assist you in growing your own personal social media profiles or your own, sports kind of like brand, so to speak here. And last but not least, and I'm not sure how many other shows that are out there that are actually doing this here. Um, how many shows are actually, giving people an opportunity to win free freaking cash and prizes without risking a goddamn thing? So
Yeah.
that's my spiel. That's why you should be listening to us pretty much on a weekly basis. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And for everyone out there watching, subscribe to our channel, give the show a thumbs up, and leave a comment. Let us know what you like and what we can improve on for sure. So, you want to go into the review? I saw your notes, and you've got a year to date now.
Oh yeah,
So
we're
it
getting real here.
definitely makes you look good.
We're getting real. So let's get into the review. A couple little intro points here, so to speak, here, because there's just a ton of stuff going on in the sports world, and I'd be remiss if I actually didn't mention. So of course, as we record this, today is Friday, January the 8th. We're coming up on Wildcard Weekend. We've closed the door on the 2020 NFL regular season. Now it's kind of ready for the playoffs. So I'm pretty pumped about that. A lot of stuff is also kind of happened. I mean, you got hockey coming back here. A big congratulations to Team USA. It was a big upset this week here, upsetting Team Canada in the World Juniors 2-0 in that gold medal matchup here. The actual NHL is returning kind of on the 13th. It seems like the New York Knicks are now the best team in basketball, so that's kind of exciting from a, I guess, northeastern New York metropolitan area perspective to kind of take a look at. And you also have the BCS Championship game coming up this Monday as well. So there's a lot kind of going on, and just kind of as a quick recap, let's just take a look at what we did last week in terms of picks and
Yeah.
you know try and build some more credibility with the audience here. Show them that we kind of that we know what the hell we're talking about. So I don't want to spend a lot of time reviewing a couple of games that took place in the past. However, you want to go ahead and let's see. So we had a bonus section last week, so just hold that train of thought. I think you know where I was going with that here, but I forgot about the bonus section last week. So we did cover a little Rose Bowl action.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us did kind of pretty well here. So in that kind of game here, I actually had Devante Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner, over 90 receiving yards, which was correct. He was, let's see here, 7 receptions for 130 yards, 3 TDs, and did a kind of pretty good job here. You had Kyren Williams, didn't get that one correct here, so 16 attempts for 64 yards, 1 TD. His longest rush was 15 yards. And then you had Mac Jones. I had the under 350 yards passing. I was correct on that one. So as it turns out, he went 25 to 30, 297 yards, 4 TDs and no INTs. And so a total of 2 for 3. On the other hand, Nathan, you basically put up a goose egg. I'm not sure what the heck is going on here. You had Alabama over 43.5 points. Final score, 14 to 31. So I'm not a math major here, but if I kind of do a quick kind of calculation here, the point total for Alabama wasn't necessarily over 43.5.
No.
You had Alabama with a win and covering by the 19.5 point spread here. Final score again, 31-14. Not necessarily going to get it done. And total points of over 66.5. Incorrect total of 45. So far in the bonus section, when we're starting out like the new year, I got a 2 for 3. You're 0 for 3.
Over. Yeah, it's one of those things. I'm decent at NFL.
We're reviewing these things because we're trying to give people, trying to give ourselves credibility so people continue watching the fucking show here. But when you're putting up a goose egg,
that, huh?
You're ruining it. I mean, I can kind of see people, dialing out right now. Like, who the hell are these guys here? I mean, I'm not impressive at all. But anyway, so let's move.
They should go back a couple weeks and check out some of your
No. This is 21 now. We're not talking about 20.
Yeah,
this is completely different.
Fresh
new
slate.
Ball game here. Let's see here. So let's see. All right. So now we're going to jump back into the last Sunday night football game of the year for the 2020 NFL season between the Washington. Is it club or team? I always get that mixed up. Team. Is it Washington Football Club or it's Washington Football Team? Club is no good. Team is all right. Okay. And the Philadelphia Eagles, right? So when we're kind of taking a look at that game here, my pick was my top pick, and I was all over the Washington kind of on defense. The Washington Football Team over 2.5 sacks. Got in my opinion a little lucky, but I'll go ahead and take it. Finished out the game with 3 sacks. Total points of that game here, I took the under of 42.5. Final score: Washington 20, Philadelphia 14 for a total of 34 points. I also took the Washington Eagles running backs combined under 75.5 rushing yards, and I was correct on that one when you take a look at the fact that you had Boston Scott, Jason Huntley, as well as Corey Clement. The 3 of them, 18 combined carries for 71 yards. So 3 for 3 on that one. So that's how you kind of close out the last week of the regular season pretty freaking damn strong. Not a bad week for you as well. So you had, Washington Football Team defense over 1.5 turnovers. Can be a combination of fumbles or fumble recoveries as well as interceptions. Correct. Washington had 2 interceptions and 2 fumble recoveries, so completely nailed that pick. You also took the Washington Football Team under 22.5 points. You were correct on that one. Of course, they finished with 20 points here. Stumbled a little bit. You had the Philadelphia starting quarterback, which was Jalen Hurts, over 21.5 completions, which was incorrect. 7 completions, 7 out of 20 completions, 72 total yards, and 1 INT. So since we are officially keeping score, that brings the 2021 score right now. Mark, 5 for 6, a simply phenomenal 83.3 picking rate. Nathan, on the other hand, 2 for 6, and a god-awful, abysmal 33.3% picking rate. That's how we're looking.
Can I just say that you benefited from a certain coach pulling a quarterback off the field there? Much
Those
of
are the breaks,
these,
man. These are breaks.
I mean, much of these that come up, the score would have been higher if Philly would have won that game. You would have probably only gotten one correct if Philly actually played a full game.
Hey, horseshoes and hand grenades, my friend.
Yeah, definitely.
The bottom line is that I'm pretty much a fucking genius, and on the other hand, some people got some practice to do.
Going into our next segment, I do want to say that I like how in the notes you have me defending the tank. Defending the
if you want to take an opposite position, I mean, those are just kind of like the notes here. So, as part of like this section here, I really just kind of wanted to review like a little bit of what we feel are hot topics that have taken place in the sports world for like the week here. So this is, in my opinion, a pretty big story. I feel a certain way about this specific situation. I'll let you take the floor and run with it first here. I mean, you might agree with what I'm actually going to say. You might take a completely opposite direction. I'll go second, but the floor is yours. Let me know what you think here.
So, okay. I really want to throw out there because I've been kind of itching to talk about this a little bit because IDP guys right now are on a little hiatus until the end of the playoffs when we'll kind of do our season wrap up for our couple month break. So I haven't had a chance to really talk this through. And what I want to say is that I really enjoyed.
I'm the therapist this time, right? I'm not venting to you. Seems like you got a lot of stuff you need to get off your chest. Right. I like this little role reversal here. Go ahead. I'll shut up. Fire away, man. I'm excited.
I like the plot of the New York Giants kind of making their way through that game last week against the Cowboys, and then I saw Philly going through Washington, which opened the door for the Giants to get creamed by Tampa Bay. And I was waiting for it. I was like, oh, this is going to be great.
A good show, man. If we would have had that game, that would have been well, today's show would have been fun to do. Anyway, keep going.
So then going into that Washington Eagles game, I go, you know what? I think Jalen Hurts can do it. He from my picks that I chose, like I thought he could do it. And really, he was on the way to doing it. Like they needed a couple more drives, and they could have put the game away. And I wasn't watching the game intently. Mainly saw on Twitter people going, "What is going on right now?" So I had to tuned in. I saw that Dodgerson pulls Jalen Hurts and puts Nate Sudfeld in, and everyone's freaking out. And then they're talking about the tank and all of that stuff, and it's like, sure. I am on record saying that, at this point of the year, if you're out of the playoffs, like you're not going to make it, play for the pick. And that, generally the coaches, maybe the lower tier coaches and the players they're all in every game. They want to win. Whereas it's more of a front office and head coach kind of discussion. So in that instance, wouldn't you start Nate Sudfeld rather than building up all of this like excitement that you might do it? You got a whole other team that's like watching you. You got the NFL all zeroed in on this game. You are Sunday night. You are prime time. And you're going to make the most obvious move to say, hey, we're tanking, and just give the middle finger to your players, the other teams in the NFL, just integrity. To be honest, like it was a weird move. If they had come out and said, okay, Jalen Hurts randomly has turf toe, I could see that as like, that's a veiled take, and everyone would kind of like acknowledge that, but move on. This is just purely like flying in the face of NFL parity and integrity to do this. So there it is. I've let it out. My thoughts.
All right, this is what I was kind of like looking at it. So obviously as a big Giant fan, going into the 2020 season, I didn't have big expectations for this team, and in fact, I was looking at a definition of success for this team, literally just being, hey, look, you know what? You've gotten your ass kicked by the Philadelphia Eagles as well as the Dallas Cowboys, and you're giving up big freaking chunk plays from a defensive, perspective, pretty much for the past 2.5 years. So if we can kind of add some stability, get better. I understand a lot of young people in that secondary, another kind of like defensive coordinator, a lot of pieces kind of meshing. But I can't freaking watch whether it's Jason Witten or pick a freaking Cowboys or any type of tight end in this league, basically running these seam routes down the middle and gashing the Giants for anywhere between 20 to 30 yards per play. I just couldn't watch another season like that. And I was also looking at it from perspective of, going into last week here, it was 7 in a row. You had lost 7 games in a row to Dallas, and obviously your track record against Philadelphia wasn't that much better. I believe it was, I think maybe 10 losses in the last 12 games against Philadelphia coming up to this year, with another kind of stint of losing probably 3 years in a row, both games to Philadelphia. So one, you had to improve in defense, and you also had to show that you had the ability to compete within the division. And I didn't want to actually see. I wanted to see a win against Philadelphia, and I wanted to see kind of a win against Dallas. So at the conclusion of that Cowboys game, I was like, look, you know what? It is what it is. You see kind of an improvement, and you take it and run with it. There was no fucking way in hell I was going to lock into a Sunday night football game and consciously root for the Philadelphia Eagles. I can't stand these people. These are disgusting people. They don't deserve to win anything ever. That goes for the whole city there. I hadn't said it. So come around, game time at kickoff here, I was like, look, you know what? I'll check back in I don't know, a couple of hours or something like that. I'll check my phone, see what the score is, and whatever the score is the score. I'm like, I'm gonna make I'm gonna find something on Netflix. I'm gonna watch. Literally after kind of surfing the movie channels as well as kind of Netflix, I couldn't find anything. So about 30 minutes after finding nothing, I'm like, to hell with it. I'm putting on the fucking game. So I turn on the game. Washington's up 10-0. You kind of see the Eagles coming back here, and now I'm doing something that I've never thought I would do in my entire life here. I'm like beers in hand, screaming and rooting for the freaking Eagles. We're in here. I'm going to the Super Bowl. Screw Tom Brady. This is it. This is happening, right? I'm just probably a little loopy, coming off the whatever.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see what happened in the fourth quarter. And what I actually got pissed off at was not because of the fact that they actually tanked and because the Giants weren't going to make the playoffs here, and of course they looked like dog shit in that fourth quarter. And we have it up on the screen here. Look, the team here at StatemenGames, we do a lot of research. We do a lot of different things here, all in an effort to, come up and create content that ties in with our platform and our game. And we also like to give our community members just some tidbits of what's taking place from a gaming perspective, and take a look at the information. And if you find it to be of value, utilize it when you're making your picks on StatemenGames or any other kind of form of sports game. So as we're kind of reviewing this game, I'm coming across a lot of different quotes and a lot of information from within the Eagles organization. And it was at head coaching level, player level. I kind of pulled a little section of this article, which is a blog article from StatementGames.com covering the Washington-Philadelphia game here. And right here, you kind of have it. Philadelphia defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz issued a no-hat rule this week, meaning he wants to make sure Washington doesn't get to celebrate at Lincoln Financial Field. And he goes on to talk about how there's a lot of pride within the organization. We have to defend the link. We have to make sure that no team, yet alone a divisional rival, has the ability to celebrate a division title or any type of meaningful game of significance on our field, right? Turns out it's all 100% kind of bullshit. 100% bullshit. So I can't stand, and the reason why I get so animated and so pissed off about what took place this past Sunday night here, it's not because as a Giant fan, they didn't make the playoffs. I mean, like you said here, I can care less. Who you want to start like a game and take out all your starters and start your backup or your third string or your practice squad quarterback. Go for it. What the hell do I care? It's your team. You run it the way it is here. But when you put out this bullshit rhetoric like you've actually done here, that kind of pisses me off as basically kind of a football fan. There's a right way and a wrong way of doing things here. And take a look at when's the last time you actually heard reports about players having to be restrained on the sideline in an effort because they want to go ahead and confront the coach here. Ex-Eagles coming out talking about how much of how embarrassed they are of the organization, a stunt like that here. So don't tell me that what the Eagles did is very similar to what the Jacksonville Jaguars did or what the Steelers did kind of in their games here. Completely different scenario. You guys are out. You're playing on national television. Last game of the season here. Yeah, it's not necessarily meaningful for you kind of in the standings here. And I don't care what we say here. And I've been through this back and forth with you on previous kind of shows here. You're not going to necessarily convince me that your 6th-round draft pick is going to be the savior of the franchise. I don't see Walter Payton coming out of this kind of year's draft or pick a player. Like I just don't. I don't see an LT. I don't see the stud kind of player. I see a lot of good players and I see a lot of people who can make impact on teams here. I don't see the slam dunk, sure thing player that you're going to draft at 6, and I can probably make the same argument at 1 here. Trevor Lawrence, great player. I'm sure the Jacksonville Jaguars would pick him here. I don't by any means view him as a slam dunk Hall of Fame kind of quarterback like a LT or a Peyton Manning, but that's just kind of my opinion, and that's why I kind of feel the way I feel, and this is why, from my perspective, Philadelphia is a completely disgusting franchise. This is, as a Giant fan, why we don't like them, and they have a history of doing things like this in the past here that just make you want to say,
yeah,
screw you, Philadelphia. And that's kind of my take on it. And I'll turn the mic back over to you here. I feel that some of the things that Joe Judge has put up this week as the coach of the Giants is strategic. I think it's actually smart, and I'd like to get your take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what was funny is, so on the weekends I work at a bar, manning the door as the COVID inspector. Essentially, like
Nice.
I check people's temperature and tell them where they can sit. And so a lot of that is just getting to watch football because it's a sports bar and watching the crowd. And man, did the Giants fans show up last weekend? And holy cow, when they realized that they had a chance in that Cowboys game, did I hear so many talk of the last, what was it? You guys with with Manning snuck into the playoffs one year and took it all the way to the Super Bowl. Was that the first one or the second one with
That was the second
Eli?
one. They wound up with a 9-7 record. They wound up beating Dallas for the division on the last game of the season. And the week before that, they actually had to beat the Jets on Christmas Eve. I believe, that was the 07 team.
Yeah, so snuck into the playoffs, made it through, ran the table, won the Super Bowl. How many Giants fans I heard making that comparison from that year to this year? So it was funny. And just thinking about like how badly you're gonna get just creamed in that first week against Tampa Bay, but then to see like this kind of all come crashing down and everything, I don't know what it's going to be like this coming week. But what I would say is, so we've talked about tanking in the past, and I kind of made the case for it to be like more of a front office, talk to your head coach thing. And I went into thinking about the Eagles no hat rule, and it makes sense to me that Jim Shorts would be saying this as a coordinator. His goal is win at all costs. And so it's obviously Doug Peterson, pulling the rope or pulling the rug out from under this whole team. And I'm not surprised that players were very upset because going the whole week, win, win, win. And then now he's handicapping them. So it's, but when you talk about like this coming draft, I would say their biggest improvement for the Eagles was Jalen Hurts. Until I realized that they were completely out of the playoffs, like they lost 2 weeks ago, I think it was. I thought they could make a Nick Foles type run where Carson Wentz gets them just into the playoffs. Jalen Hurts picks up the mantle and kind of helps them make a run, because I think he's that type of player. Going into next year, I think Jalen Hurts maintains that role, and this will be a completely different team.
Look, I agree. I mean, Philadelphia has a history of playing hard and playing well down the stretch in previous kind of years. So that type of sentiment is something that I was actually looking for. I believe it was just a couple weeks ago. I guess it was like that game against Arizona in Arizona, which when they officially got eliminated, and they actually played hard. They played well that game. Something like this, I feel, sets like an organization back here. And if I'm Doug Peterson, and this is the mandate that I'm getting freaking from the ownership here, I would, me personally, and I can say this with full confidence, I would have thumbed my nose at it. There's no way, you're putting me kind of out on the field here to lose a game. Now, yeah. I'm a different kind of carry a different kind of mentality. I think I've demonstrated on this show, but I think things like that cause more harm than they do good here. I think as a result of this move here, Philadelphia is a complete rebuild mode here, and I don't think the organization will be relevant for as long as Doug Peterson continues to coach this team. As a free agent, as a player, how can you trust this guy? And yeah, I understand that it was the defensive coordinator that put up like a lot of this narrative, but he's marching to the tune of your head coach. I mean, these guys should be kind of echoing the same particular tune or the same kind of sentiment here. So don't convince me that the message that Peterson was putting out throughout the course of the week here was something different than what the defensive coordinator actually was here. It's Absolutely. All kind of, it's got to be kind of in sync. And if there is kind of dysfunction in the message that you're getting from the top office to the message that the lower ranks, field generals are putting out, whether it's the defensive coordinator, another type of assistant coach here, or even like the head coach here, that shows dysfunction kind of within the ranks. So I think it was a gutless kind of move. It's not like they were getting blown out and let me go ahead and get my backup quarterback some experience just to kind of see what I actually got here. You're in the game. You're trailing by a score, a field goal kind of puts you kind of right back in it, or they or ties the game and things like that. Here you're going for things on fourth down. You're not kind of taking the points. And when that quarterback came in, he played like I would expect him to play, and that's why he's the backup quarterback. So I'm not sure where he's coming from in terms of trying to win the game here. He knew what he was actually doing. And if that's the message that is coming at the top level, well, then that's an organization that I don't want to work for, and that's definitely not an organization that I want to go ahead and play for. And I think that antic that they pulled on Sunday night is going to have long-term consequences for that organization and their ability to compete moving forward.
Absolutely. So you've got some thoughts on your Giants now, right?
Well, I guess from the Giant perspective, and I think people who are construing this from a perspective of, hey, Giant fans, Giant organization, shut up, win another game here, and then you wouldn't actually have this problem of not making the playoffs. I think those people are missing the point. You're missing the point kind of big time. This coach took an opportunity to set the standard for what this organization instills and how it's going to be run moving forward, which is an organization to, never quit, playing hard throughout the season, throughout every single game, one quarter at a time here, and you're basically going in and playing to win. After listening to his press conferences as like a fan here, I mean, you're ready to put on your freaking helmet and run through a wall for this guy here. And I would actually like to think that as a fan, players are taking notice of this throughout the particular league here, where if you have an opportunity to play for the Giants or get drafted for the Giants here, this is an organization that's setting an example and a precedent of winning. What Joe Judge was putting out wasn't about taking a shot at the wasn't about taking a shot at the Philadelphia Eagles. It was about redefining and solidifying what the culture and what the message of the New York Giants is now and will be moving forward, which is something that they actually haven't had to this particular level since Coughlin left. So I think what he said was right. I think it sets a tone, and I think it would actually pay dividends for the Giants moving forward. And I'll put something on the line right now here. If I take a look at the next Giants Eagles games in the course of the next, let's call it 3 years, or the next 6 games here, I'll put something on the line right now that the Giants win 5 of the 6. So that's how strongly I feel about it.
Interesting. Okay.
Am I wrong? I mean, what do you think?
I would take that bet. I would take that bet. But I don't know if it would ever get paid out because that's so long from now. If we're still doing this in 4 years, I'll cut my hair into a mohawk.
Hey, I'm trying here. We've gone through. We've got a couple of meetings that we need to get through here, but I have the base. So now I guess hibernation due for the past 2.5 months is gone. I'm getting a little bit more back to normalcy, and I have the framework of the mohawk established. So I'm in the process.
I'm just waiting for the video on Twitter to start sharing and start gloating.
But on that topic, and kind of getting back to the Washington football team, I'm looking at it from this perspective. Give this freaking kid a break. I mean, this kid is awesome from a Washington perspective. He's doing everything that you want your number 2 pick do, the complete opposite of Haskins. Turning out to be a stud, 100% going to be the defensive kind of rookie of the year. Got his team into the playoffs for the first time since who knows? I mean, since when? Since what was the last time they actually played here? I guess we're kind of going to get back to it, but nobody expected Washington to kind of do anything here. This was the last game of the season for the 2020 kind of schedule. They had one option or two options: go home by losing to the Eagles, or face Tom Brady. So the fact that he's kind of running off the field saying, "Hey, you know what? I want Tom Brady." Good for him. This is what I want my star player kind of saying here. And it's not like he had other choices here. It's not like he had Brady or somebody else, and he made a conscious choice to pick Brady. He didn't have any other choice here. So all this fucking rhetoric about, hey, you know what, Chase, let's be careful of what you're kind of wish for. Those guys themselves, you're missing the mark as well. Yeah. Everything that this kid is kind of doing here exemplifies what I want my players to be echoing and reacting to as a fan of the team. And wanted to throw it back over to you to see what you actually thought.
Yeah, absolutely. As he's played lights out this year. Honestly, top 5, maybe top 2 defensive end for the year in as far as like fantasy points total, sacks. I'm pretty sure he's up there. I don't think he did as well as Nick Bosa did last year for sacks, but he's still just playing lights out. And the fact that he's targeting Tom Brady, I would say, yeah, I agree with your point 100%. It's the guy that's in front of him. It's like Belichick saying on to, whatever team. Like he's just talking about his next opponent. But on the same side, you've got Brady is kind of, he's kind of the top tier of the league, as far as players, personalities. Like when you think of the NFL, you're thinking Tom Brady and like a couple other guys. And so this is him, new guy on the field, pointing at the big dog and saying, I want you. And I think it's expected of him because of his, the way he's been playing. It's expected of him because of his personality. Like, take a bite out of the biggest dog in the pack. essentially, and claim your spot as someone to be feared. And I think this is his opportunity, and he's grabbing it 100%.
And let's be honest here. If you think Tom Brady needs to be motivated by what a rookie defensive player is actually echoing here, I mean, you're just wrong. I mean, I don't think any of these guys are going to be taking what he's saying and utilizing it as significant bull-born material, kind of like going into this game. Let's also be honest here. Tampa Bay is an 8.5-point favorite. Leading into this game as well. So, hey,
but that can
let's
flip.
see what
That can
happens.
flip real quick. I mean, you see Brady when he's not pressured versus when he is pressured. I don't have those splits for his performance, but I would say that Brady probably loses more games when he's highly pressured than when he's allowed to sit in that pocket and make decisions for 5-6 seconds. So Washington, they have a chance. I would think out of that whole NFC East division, Washington winning the division and going on is probably the best move, because they were probably, I would probably say they're the best team, because they have that defense, and when Alex Smith has the ability to put things together, they can win games. Giants, I don't think, have the defense. Cowboys, I don't think, have the offense or the defense. And the Eagles, well, draft picks are more important
This
to
should
them.
just be banished from football because they're disgusting people and a horrible organization.
And I mean, think about it this way. From an NFL perspective, what's the best storyline? You've got Washington kind of changing their name this year. You've got Washington going from a terrible defense to having like one of the most formidable defensive fronts. And then you've got Alex Smith coming from a near-death experience a couple years ago to lead this team into the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely from a football perspective, I can kind of see that. I think storyline perspective, Brady going into MetLife would have been kind of like a good story, or Brady going into Dallas. I mean, they're all that would have been a significant kind of like story as well. So, hey, this is where we're at here. I just wanted to make a little bit of a point in where get off the kid's back here. I mean, it's not like Washington had an opportunity in where, all right, you know what, you have an opportunity to play Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks, and you chose Tom Brady. You didn't. You had a very simple choice. So let's give the kid a break here, and hopefully we get a pretty decent game come Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on the docket for you? Do you want to talk coaching vacancies?
Yeah, we go. I'm sorry. Coaching vacancies. I mean, anything significant that kind of like comes off the top of your mind here. I mean, obviously, Gase gets fired. Are you guys looking for a head coach? Any kind of thought process that you're going from there? I mean, is there anything significant that you're kind of thinking about? To the truth of Urban Meyer going to Jacksonville, I think that's a fascinating story. And wow, I love to kind of see the combination of Urban Meyer, young team, #1 draft pick, picking up Trevor Lawrence here and going from there. As long as he's healthy and kind of do it here, but. Obviously, there's some things that need to be ironed out down in Houston. Coach out in LA with the Chargers gets the axe. Just like every single year, some openings.
Yeah, there
anything
really
that
are.
You got your eye on, or you kind of find interesting, and any predictions that you're looking to make on a coaching front.
I haven't really been paying a lot of attention to the coaching yet, because we're still in the playoffs, man. It's the season's really not over. But I have been keeping my ear out for the Lions and what they're going to do. And the fan base scares me more than what the team is actually going to do, because the fans are bandwagoning on all of these different coaches, and we don't even have a GM yet. And
that's important.
In my head, I'm just saying, like, why do we do this to ourselves every year? Because that whoever ends up getting picked, there's going to be such a undercurrent of people that wish it was someone else, are going to be not supportive until they prove themselves or whatever. And to me, I really want the Lions to wait as long as possible, because it's it's like a Schrodinger's cat situation where once you pick that coach, the coach is probably going to be bad because it's the Lions. It's going to be a bad decision, and I just would rather have as much time in this open possibility as possible. Like, don't rush this decision. And I'd say this for most teams. Like, don't rush that coaching decision because you got to get your guy. We saw that in Detroit with Bob Quinn having to get Matt Patricia. And oh my God, I never want to go through that again. Like, it's spoiled me or turned me off to this whole coaching and general management like decision and drama. I don't want to be a part of it. Pick who you're gonna pick. Just do it well, and I guess we'll see where it goes because the Lions haven't really won anything in over 70 years now.
I just find it fascinating because, look, Bill Parcells isn't coming out of retirement and coaching your team. Bill Cowher he's not coaching anymore. There's not that one name that's out there that said, hey, you know what? I want that guy. Everything that you're going to have to do is exactly what you're talking about here. You're going to have to go through your due diligence process. You're going to probably be looking at a coordinator or somebody from the collegiate ranks here who are going to be first-time coaches. That's just the direction that the league is going in. It's completely different from, years back. I mean, I sound like a freaking old fart now. When I was watching football, I mean, it was this stuff here. But you always kind of had those handful of guys, and you pointed and said, "Hey, you know what? If I had that guy, that's it." I don't know who the hell. I mean, is Eric Bieniemy the answer to a football team?
What people that's one of the trending names. Was it San Francisco's Saleh?
Defensive coordinator? Yeah, who is he? Is he kind of like the answer? I mean,
that's what okay. So right now the Lions fan base is split between Saleh and Bieniemy, and I'm sitting over here.
I would take a flyer on him, but I mean, if I had a chance for Urban Meyer, I'd do everything that I can to kind of give him a shot here.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
Jim Harbaugh the answer? Is that a direction that you want to
go? No. That one I definitely don't want to have, but I don't want to pick because I don't want to do like I did. I was on the Patricia train. I was all over like fire Caldwell, get Matt Patricia in. He's a rocket scientist. We're gonna go to the moon. And I was so wrong that I don't want to pick anymore. Like I'm going to be, I guess, okay with whatever they come up with, and just deal with it. But Bieniemy and Saleh are the two, and there's people on both sides like lock them up. Like they're talking about how Saleh's wife was ordering a cake from Detroit that said, "Congrats, coach," and it was in white and blue. And these are the reports that are coming through, and I'm just like, guys, please, just calm down. We had playoff football to get through. We have a GM to get. Like, come on.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's just say you're the guy, right? You're the toast of the town. You're the coach that is the darling of the NFL right now. And you got your chance of Jacksonville Jaguars, New York Jets, Detroit Lions, LA Chargers, Houston Texans. Am I missing anybody here? What team would you want to go to?
So I think Houston
all things being equal, everything kind of like being equal. Keep in mind where people are actually drafting, the certain perceived culture of certain organizations here. What do you think?
I think Houston and the Jets have problems. Houston, most notably with front office kind of versus Deshaun Watson right now, and then the Jets have just always kind of been a shit show, and I don't think any of that's changed. Adam Gase really, really fucked them. So then it really kind of comes down to Jacksonville or the Lions, which now you've got, okay, so with Jacksonville, it comes down to, as a coach, what are you better at? Are you going to be the guy that the quarterback whisperer? I'd say like the LA coach. Fuck, I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. The Rams coach. He came in to LA to make golf better. And if that is the case,
you're talking about McVay, you're talking about the Chargers coach.
Yeah, McVay. Yeah, McVay,
Okay.
Who was that guy? He was the talk of the town. He was the guy you wanted to get. They got him in there. His purpose is, I'm good with quarterbacks. So if that's the case, you go to Jacksonville and you get Trevor Lawrence and you coach him up to the NFL level. You make him the next all-star. But if you are, maybe that's not your strength, you go to Detroit, because you still have 1 or 2 years with Matthew Stafford, potentially, if they don't decide to do some different moves at the quarterback. But I would say that the Lions have the more put together offense. You just have to gut that defense. You got to tear it down.
Oh yeah, defense is pretty bad here. I'd want to know what's the organization doing with regards to Stafford. Do I have the ability to keep him and coach him, or is the plan to move on? What do I want to do as a coach? Jacksonville's kind of appealing. A little shaky on Jacksonville. I'm very attracted to the Jets coaching position. I mean, think about like
really?
a lot of draft picks. I mean, you still got the number 2 pick in the draft. You have a fan base that's hungry for success. A lot of draft picks, as I kind of mentioned here. New York market, a lot of national attention, ability to ability to make your way and define what your brand is actually going to be. So I think the Jets are a pretty freaking damn kind of attractive position. You can go to a lot of different directions and have a lot of flexibility without a. There's going to be some pressure to improve on a 2-win team here, but it's not like everyone's expecting this team to go to the Super Bowl next year. So a little wiggle room, opportunity to grow into the job here. I don't get that sense that you'll have that opportunity in a place with Houston, like with Deshaun and that quarterback. Detroit, what are you doing? What are you doing at the quarterback position?
Expectations.
Detroit will have higher expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, the only downfall that you can kind of see about the Jets is that obviously, Buffalo is not going anywhere for a while. Miami is dramatically improved, and that freaking New England's going to do whatever they actually can to get back on the horse as quickly as possible. But when you take a look at the chess pieces that you have to play with, ton of cap space, all that freaking calculated money. I mean, you write your own ticket with the Jets.
True, very true. But all right,
anyway,
let's move.
That's what we got.
Yeah.
Other news here. So let's kind of go through a couple of different quick things here. So from a Statement Games perspective, another quick congratulations to BXPRJ and a new VIP member, B-Ball 86. They were the overall tournament winners for the IDP Guys Washington Philadelphia football game this past Sunday night, playing Statement Games Alternative Fantasy Football. As VIP members, they have a couple of extra 1,000 coins that have now been added to their accounts. So these coins, of course, are redeemable for cash rewards at any time. There's probably right now, I think we're a little over 80. Over 80 of your favorite merchants to choose from: Google, Apple, Nike, NFL Shop. So I know that BXPRJ, he likes those Amazon cards, but I mean, you have free reign and you can pick whatever the heck you want here. You don't need to be a VIP member to win, but you do need to be a VIP member to win big buckets of bonus coins. So our VIP program is an annual membership. It costs $24.99 per year, and you should be contacting marketing@statementgames.com to get started. In other news here, the PGA has actually returned to Statement Games, and if you've been following me, which is just at Marc Saulino on Twitter or any of the other social media platforms, you know that I've been pretty big on Colin Morikawa for the Century Tournament of Champions event this week. If you were able to enter that alternative fantasy golf contest on Statement Games, and you drop a comment in this video, and just with that comment, post what your username is. If Morikawa doesn't finish in the top 10, I'm personally going to fund your account with an extra 500 bonus coins. So again, another opportunity to win some cash here, for free from Statement Games. Very simple instructions that I'm giving here. I mean, am I being too complex or complicated here, Nathan, or is that pretty simple and straightforward? Drop a comment with PGA hashtag and your username, and if Colin Morikawa does not come in the top 10, you're going to win some buckets of coins here. Here's the catch, though. You have to be paying attention this week here. So if you didn't enter the PGA contest this week, you're kind of out of luck here. But again, going back into our opening here, here's just another reason as to why you should be listening to us on a weekly basis, and why you should be following the Statement Games platform. We're continuously giving you opportunities to win without risking a goddamn thing. And let's see here. Also, like I said, NHL returns on the 13th. Games are available to play right now, just like we had done with the preseason football games and baseball games that we put up here. There's an over-under points total contest on Statement Games right now. You're basically reviewing a list of NHL teams. You're handicapping what their projected point totals are. You're ranking them from 10 through 1, just like every other format on Statement Games here. But check it out. It's a fun little way to get engaged, and to start thinking about hockey. And again, we're looking for comments. Do you like games like this here? Is this something that's a little too far-fetched here? Things like this help us get better. So hopefully you guys can check it out, and we can go from there. And then let's see here. In other, I guess, sports gaming news, if you want to just pull up the slide real quick here. I mean, this was a no-brainer. This was something that everybody saw on their radar screen here. But it looks like the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, is finally getting behind, sports betting. I will actually drop the link to the article that I'm referring to, which is a New York Post article. But just your overall thoughts real quick here, because we're starting to see more and more stories like this pop up here. You have any quick thoughts on the possibility of sports gaming coming to the state of New York?
Well, I think this is going to be a wide sweeping change that we're going to start to see, because states are broke because of the pandemic and all the things that they have to do. And this is easily one way of creating revenue.
I really just thought it was interesting from this perspective, and I always knew this. I wasn't exactly sure what the number was or how high it actually was. But if you take a look at a state like New Jersey here, it looks like the revenue that they generated from sports gaming was about $931 million, which far outpaces the state of Nevada. And when you take a look at what that actually means in terms of direct revenue for the state, it was $50.6 million, and that equates to about $6.2 million that the state was able to earn just in in taxes. Now, what's really appealing, and how this ties back into the state of New York here, and again, I didn't know that this number was this high here, but it looks like a recent survey found that nearly 20% of the revenue that the state of New Jersey has been had generated in the month of November actually came from New Yorkers making the trip from New York over into New Jersey. So you're looking at opportunities in where the state of New York has a chance to retain and keep some of this revenue, and not necessarily lose out to the state of New Jersey, which is something that they should have freaking been doing for years now. But it's good to see that it's finally moving in this direction here. And like you had said here, I see this being a new wave, and more buzz on topics like this, touching on other states, whether it be a state like Connecticut, or we'll have to see what happens. But it's good for the industry. It's good for Statement Games. I get asked the question all the time, what does this actually mean for a company like Statement Games? And the answer is pretty much like always going to be the same here. We're still going to be focusing on the free-to-play model for now. We reserve the right to pivot into other verticals as we see opportunities arise here. But even with gaming being legalized in New York or any other state here, there's still a big percentage of the sports gaming market that are not ready to engage with real money gaming accounts. And we feel that we're a perfect alternative product that still gives fans an opportunity to compete. And I know we've talked about that on previous shows as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's talk a little more about Statement Games and get into the Statement Games feature of the week. So what do you got for us this week, Marc?
Yeah, sure. So let's see here. If you want to go back to the share screens, I'll go ahead and give like a little bit of a demo.
Yeah.
So I got my Statement Games account that's up. You can see the games that we're playing right now. My username is Founder. So just in case you come across my name and you see Founder here, just know that you're playing against me. And I really just kind of want to make a point that when you go ahead and join a contest, all right. So I'm just going to actually join this. Looks like it's the Charlotte Hornets versus New Orleans Pelicans kind of game. You can see that there's 7 of 8 people playing in right now. I'm going to confirm and proceed. I can go ahead and make picks whatever I want, but I think it's important just to make sure that you guys are aware of the My Standings tab. So I can always edit and revise picks up until about 5 minutes before game time here, but you should know who you're playing against. So in this particular section, you can actually see these are all the people that I'm playing against in this specific tournament, right? And I can't see anything right now because the game hasn't started. But once the game starts, if I click on this little 0 here, I can actually see the picks that my competition has made. And also, always become aware that once a tournament or a contest fills up to the maximum allotment, in this particular case was 8, that contest comes off the board and a new one pops up. There's nothing preventing me from joining this contest again as long as I have the coins. So fill out as many entries as you possibly can. Of course, there's a leaderboard and there's other things, and where you're getting coins for winning various different contests. So this is a brand new contest. It's separate from contest number 2. And then, of course, by entering more contests here, I increase my chances of being the overall tournament winner. So I guess the point that we're making out with these little features here is, 1, always be aware of who you're playing against. And 2, always be aware that once a contest fills and a new one comes up here, you can play in as many of these games as you possibly, have your little heart, set on here. It's just another thing that you should be aware of that helps you build up your coin balance of coins, and it definitely increases your chances of climbing the Statement Games leaderboard. So I just want to point out those little features and make sure that those points were relevant in this edition of Statement Games Live, and hopefully helped you guys become more aware of who we are, what we're doing, and how to compete and how to continue to win.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a winning strategy of playing multiple contests, and it's also very good to, I've found, change up your strategy between the contests. Go in one thinking one way and maybe a different way.
Hedge your bets a little bit here, or keep the same exact lineup because you're that confident. It's complete up to you. But it's something that I wanted to make sure it comes up in various different emails and questions, and I want to make sure that people were aware of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move to the nuggets of truth. Let's get in on that. You got something in these slides for that?
Yeah, wanted to make sure. Statement Games does have a blog. We put out a lot of different pieces of content, not only on that blog, but and then we share on social media. Again, the blog is designed to come up with tidbits of information on various different games, players, trends that you should be aware of, and obviously we use it to market Statement Games. So I want to make sure that people are aware of the blog here, and of course I'm pointing out a game that actually just took place. It was between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. We had a game day preview article on it. I'll drop the actual link in the show notes of the show here. And of course, you can actually access all these articles on blog.statementgames.com, which is also located on the bottom navigational bar of the main Statement Games platform. But as always, we always get questions all the time. How do you grow your base? How do you kind of market your stuff here? I don't have a lot of money from a marketing perspective here. What can I actually be doing to help get my brand or my profile as a writer or as a company out into the marketplace here? So the first point that I actually want to make here is, listen, this whole Shoeless Joe Jackson, Field of Dreams type of thing here, where if you actually create it or if you build it, they will come type of, rhetoric or narrative, you got to dismiss that. Just completely, throw it right out the window here. When you get to a point and you've built your brand to a certain point, maybe that's kind of true here. But if you're hustlers like us and you're trying to pave your way and you break your way kind of into the industry, you got to start implementing a couple of strategic tactics and try various different things here. So one, I want to show that we've written kind of an article, and we've also wanted to kind of point out the fact that I mean, it sounds kind of corny and things like that here, and this was kind of shocking to me when I kind of came across this here in terms of how many groups actually existed. But did you know that there's like close to 10 million freaking groups, or over 10 million groups on Facebook alone? I mean, I knew it was a lot, but that's kind of excessive here. And I want to kind of point that here. I mean, they have fucking groups for everything here. I mean, this group that I have here on this slide over here is for tea drinkers. I mean, what the hell can you possibly be posting about in this group here? Hey, you know what? This is how you boil water today? Or, hey, I'm going with, I don't know, Bigelow green tea versus the ShopRite brand. I mean, I'm going to join this thing. I'm dying to know what the hell these people can be posting about on a daily basis. I had to kind of look at the top here. 9.1 thousand people who are members of this group talking about fucking tea. So
honestly, I think this is the way Facebook is going, is because let's face it, like Facebook is very, when you're just talking to your family and friends, like you get into a lot of infighting of like politics and religion, current events, just becomes disgusting. And as a Facebook user that has been on the platform since its beginning, I hate it. I hate it with passion. But I've recently discovered groups which I absolutely love at a marketing level, because you get to go in and zero in on certain niches. And for me as a entrepreneur, business owner, marketing specialist, I get to go in and gear my brand towards that group and talk directly to people in a language that they identify with, understand, and makes me attractive to them, even if it has nothing. So you go into that tea drinkers group and you find someone who has a business with tea, and for me, I connect with them and I market to them as a website designer, and next thing I know, I've got a client making a tea brand website.
Yeah. And look, so I want to, as a strategy, the Statement Games team, we belong to a number of different groups here. I mean, basically, Philadelphia 76ers, Brooklyn Nets here, New York Giants. I mean, there's so many different groups that we try and associate ourselves with. And here's kind of the key here. And of course, before we do anything from what that can kind of be misconstrued or kind of potentially, I guess, towing a fine line between group rules and what you're trying to get these people to actually do here, it's always a good bit of advice and best practice to coordinate with the group admins just to make sure, hey, you know what, I'm so-and-so. I love sports and love kind of basketball, and this is kind of who I am and what we're actually doing here. And I feel that we can kind of contribute some great content to the group here. You're kind of going to want to have a dialogue like that. And most of these people are great. They're fantastic people. They're not going to mind as long as you're adding value to the group and not spamming the group and trying to get them to join other groups or trying to kind of sell people kind of something kind of directly. But we utilize this strategy, and where we come up with very different pieces of content. The articles are the same between our game day previews here, but in this particular case here, look, the Philadelphia 76ers have owned the Brooklyn Nets for a long time here. They just played, the other night here. So we kind of tailored this message here, like, look, we would actually like to see Jared Allen, stick it to kind of Philadelphia. He was coming off kind of a great game the night before with career highs in terms of points and rebounds and things like that. We thought what we actually had written would be of value to this particular group. So we create different posts. Of course, we associate like our articles. It's adding value to the group. It's getting the group members It's giving them an opportunity to get some more exposure to statement games, learn a little bit more about who we are and what we're actually doing here. We're providing them information on a topic that they have interest in anyway, which is a preview of that particular game. And just by doing little things like that over like the past month, I blocked out some kind of like high level metrics here, but I'm taking a look at, in terms of the sessions of the Statement Games blog, up 294% over the past 30 days. Page views being up over 349% over the past 30 days. The articles that we actually write are about 2 minute and 30-second reads. We don't really look to go anything over than that from an editorial perspective. We might look at other forms of long form content in the future, but the fact that people are actually spending close to the full 2 minutes on our page here shows that we're doing something right here, and we've driven our bounce rate down by about 28% over the past 30 days as well. So again, I just want to show some of the things that we're doing as an organization that are a little bit more grassroots. It doesn't cost anything. It's going to cost you some time, some sweat equity, and some hustle, but by implementing little things like this in the long run does help you as a writer, your blog and things like that, and getting getting your name out there. And the point that I just wanted to say is you're doing a great job in creating content. Now, take that extra effort and make some friends within some groups here. It pays off dividends in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that's great. Great way of illustrating that, Mark. And it's something that once you have a blog, it doesn't stop with just publishing. You have to market. It doesn't just appear.
Yeah. And I think you would agree with this as well. The strategy or the process that we take, it starts with, you got to create something of relevance and something that's interesting, right? Once you've created that piece of content, you want to do your best to, I guess, configure that piece of content so that it's optimized for SEO. Then once you've actually gone ahead and do that here, you're doing whatever you can internally and through your team and distributing that content, Facebook groups, social media accounts, newsletters. Land there and see, man. Everything that you can actually do, all in an effort to get your word out there. And that's a very simple practice that we take here at Statement Games.
Yeah. And one of those things that you can do is creating a show on YouTube where you go through and make some picks and distribute that out. So here with the segue, so we're talking Tampa Bay Bucks, Washington football team. Mark, you want to go into this game, go into what people can expect playing Statement Games?
I can't really stress this enough. It's just a game. You're playing for fun. You playing for free. We got a little bit of a different take on fantasy sports. The way that you play is access Statement Games. Join that contest between the Washington football team as well as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or any game that we have on the platform. Take a look at it, join, review, and handicap a list of props or game props, player props, list of statements that are specific to that sporting event. You're going to pick 10 of them, rank them in order of confidence from 10 through 1. And as that game plays out, you'll earn points for the picks that you make that become correct. And the person with the most points from correct picks at the end of the contest that you have joined or are playing in wins. So it's really that simple. StatementGames.com or find us in the App Store, Statement Games Fantasy Sports, Apple, or Google Play.
Yeah. So this game this week we're doing the Sunday night wildcard
Saturday night
playoff game. Oh, Saturday night. I'm sorry. And as far as the show notes say, because usually the IDP guys does the Sunday night one, we are still sponsoring this this game. IDP Guys is your number one source for non-standard fantasy football. Play the contest and visit idpguys.org and step up your fantasy game. What I will say is right now the website is under construction, so come take a look in a couple weeks when we have it all done and new and improved. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I have it in the show notes. I got you covered. I mean, basically, you guys will be back probably around Super Bowl time, right?
Yeah, actually, I put in a lot of work this week, and the way it's looking is I might actually hit the mark of Super Bowl. I might be able to make the announcement if we're back. So that'd be great. But so what are you thinking about this game? Obviously, a little butthurt that it's not the Giants, but Washington, Tampa Bay. This could be a good game. Could be a blowout.
I mean, yeah. Well, let's be honest. I mean, Brady's postseason resume is extremely long and very kind of attractive. Tampa Bay has welcomed him with open arms, and why shouldn't they? 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, and he's looking to build on that postseason kind of legacy. Let's see here. They're coming in as the 5th seed. In I guess name only. Of course, they have a better record than Washington. Washington is technically not technically, they are the 4th seed, and they will be at home for this NFC wildcard game.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that, as we discussed earlier with Chase Young, if he can put pressure on Brady, this could be they could keep him down so that Brady doesn't Brady, and it brings back views or images of seeing Brady in past Super Bowl losses, slumped over on the ground, like sad Brady, all of those things. If we see that guy, this game could go either way. But if we see normal Brady, this could be out of reach. So it seems like Tampa Bay with the Washington football team, they're coming for Brady, kind of like what happens when people come for us. You got something for that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not sure if they're coming for me that much anymore here when considering my pick making ability is over 80%. They might be coming for you, but hey, look, we're partners. Whether you're coming after me or coming after you, you basically just need to understand that when you're messing with Statement Games Live and Statement Games Alternative Fantasy Sports, not only are you messing with us, you're messing with
All right, there we go. All right, let's get into the making picks part of the show here. Throwing them on the board. To start off, what do you got for us, Mark? You start the show here.
Okay. I don't think Washington's going to get shut out, and I think if they're going to compete in this game, I think it's going to be a little bit more from a running back kind of position here, and you're getting a couple of different choices here. So as my first pick here, I'm going to lock in. I'm getting any Washington running back, and it can be rushing or passing. Just one of those suckers needs to score a TD. So I'm pretty confident in that one here. Give me a Washington running back scoring a touchdown.
Gotcha. All right. So I like Alex Smith's story. I don't believe that he's going to be able to make it happen as much against the Tampa Bay defense. They do have a good defense. So I'm going with Washington starting quarterback, and we're going under 226.5 yards passing.
Under 226, but also keep in mind that doesn't necessarily mean that you're ruling out Washington. I mean, Washington can score on defense. Their defense is very well noted, and of course, there's got to be some type of strategy from Rivera that's a ball control strategy, and where they're going to be looking to kind of run the ball, take advantage of the blitz happy Tampa Bay defense here, maybe kind of catch them off guard here and rip off a couple of big plays from a running game perspective. So just because you're making that pick.
Absolutely. It also, this game could be a defensive struggle, which kind of will, clamp down on the offense on really both teams. So I don't think if Washington has to rely on Alex Smith's passing, I don't think they're going to get it done.
Okay.
What do you got for number 2?
Well, I mean, look, I'm looking at it from the Brady perspective. And I don't think it's any secret what he wants to do or how Tampa Bay plans on approaching this game from an offensive perspective. I'm getting both of them. I'm getting Goodwin as well as Antonio Brown. So I'm gonna take a look at that pick at the wide receiver position. I'm gonna take the over 10.5 receptions.
All righty, that's looking pretty good. So if we're talking Washington, we're definitely talking defense. If I'm on board, then we've got to talk IDP. And I think that Washington has a very good chance of getting to Brady. I think Chase Young is definitely going to get at least a sack in this game. But I think that right now the 2.5 sacks, that's too much for me. I don't know. So I'm going under 2.5 sacks for Washington football team. I think they're going to get close. I just don't think they're going to get to 3.
Okay, I can kind of see that. I mean, Brady gets quick release, get rid of the ball quick here. On a sack perspective here, I mean I'm kind of nervous for Alex Smith here. I mean, Tampa Bay loves to blitz. I mean, they're coming after him, and I'm not sure how healthy Alex Smith is, but if he's not careful, this can be a very dangerous spot from him from the playoff perspective.
Yeah, no, it's every game. Every game is gamble.
Now, from my last pick here, I'm going against something that I originally put in the show notes. I am a big believer, a big kind of like a proponent, and I love, just from a general gaming perspective, home teams getting points. So I'm looking kind of like at this game, and most of the lines that I've actually come across or I've seen have Tampa Bay as a 7.5 point favorite. On statement games, I'm getting an extra point. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting 8.5 with a team that can score on defense, that can play defense. They're playing at home in the playoffs. Hopefully with a quarterback that knows how to manage a game. You're not necessarily getting like rookie. I mean, you're getting a manageable kind of quarterback. So you take all those things, and then on top of that, throw in the fact that I'm getting 8.5 points. I got to take a risk, and I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will not win by over 8.5 points in this game.
I like it. I like that. All right, and to round this off, I'm going classic here. I'm going to pull up the whole Gronkowski Brady connection, and you've got it 3.5 receptions. You mean to tell me that with the amount of pressure that is going to be on Tom Brady, that he's not going to go to old reliable at least 4 times? Come on, it's going to happen. So Rob Gronkowski over 3.5 receptions. I think I'll stake my reputation on that one. So there we go. All right, so if you're playing in this contest, you're going to see my username, Nathan Ritter. Maybe I'm thinking about this. Let me spitball with this to you, Mark, is make a new account that is Statement Games Live so that people just know. I think that might be something we do for the future.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
maybe we can have some fun with that and see if the people who are playing against us in specific tournaments, if you could beat Statement Games Live, maybe just some additional incentives that will come to the table with. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, so we'll get this out into the gaming sphere here, and see how we do next week, and hopefully I can come back from a goose egg and some pretty bad picks, but I don't know. We're getting back to my bread and butter here, so we'll see. But with that, make sure you're following at Statement Games on all social media. Subscribe to the YouTube channel where you're seeing this video, and play StatementGames.com. Can't stress that enough. Mark, it's been great. Any closing thoughts?
I think we covered a lot today. We definitely ran a little bit longer, so we'll put this show out and get some kind of some feedback. Hey, there's a lot of games taking place this weekend, so I'm kind of getting excited just thinking about it. But we'll see. Everybody be well. We'll catch up with you next week. I don't have any dog in the fight kind of this week here, so I guess I'm I don't know. Let's go Washington running backs over a touchdown.
Yeah, there we go. Sports are back. I mean, that's a big thing. So, all right. Catch you next week, Mark.